Hello and welcome to NBST 520 News. This is Jessica Petro bringing you a special report on one of the most influential leaders of the early Christian church. Many consider his impact on the spread of Christianity second only to Jesus himself, the Apostle Paul. Born in Tarsus, which appointed him the status of Roman citizen, to a pious Jewish family, Paul, then known by the name Saul, was considered a Hebrew of Hebrews. He was raised to follow in his father's footsteps and trained as a Pharisee. Highly educated and devoted to his faith, he had a fierce belief that Christianity was a true threat to Judaism. Saul devoted himself to stopping the spread of Christianity, and he became known as one of the greatest persecutors of the Christian faith. However, God had different plans for Saul before he even began his journey as an apostle of Christ. His actions as persecutor set the scene for the spread of the Christian church. Saul attended the stoning death of the first Christian martyr, Stephen, giving his approval for the heinous act. The fear of continued persecution sent the early believers fleeing from Jerusalem and into the outer regions of Judea and Samaria. Saul's intent was to capture them and return them to Jerusalem to be imprisoned for their faith. So how did this man go from persecutor to the most influential promoter of Christianity? Saul had set out on the road to Damascus to capture Christians, but instead he was captured by Christ. He was brought face to face with the truth of the gospel when the resurrection Jesus appeared to him in a great light. He was struck blind, but after 3 days his sight was renewed when an obedient believer named Ananias visited Saul after receiving a vision from God himself to visit Saul so that his sight could be restored. Soon after, Paul began to preach that Jesus of Nazareth is the Jewish Messiah and the Son of God after all. This pivotal moment in Paul's life gave him a new mission and a new purpose to preach the gospel further than ever before. He became known as an apostle to the Gentiles, not only to spread Christianity, but to spread the gospel to all people as far as he could go. He led 3 missionary journeys and became responsible for establishing multiple new churches throughout the entire Roman Empire, driven to preach in places no one had ever preached before. During his time, he performed miracles and suffered persecution for his faith. He is attributed for writing 13 books of the New Testament, more than any other biblical writer before. From persecutor to persecutor, from feared to revered, from zealous Pharisee to apostle, and from Saul to Paul, Paul's life is a true testament to the transformative power of the belief and following Jesus Christ.